We have another FPL deadline in 24 hours. So today, I'm taking you through my Game Week 16 team selection. In Game Week 15, we've got a few injuries, we've got some key players benched, we've got some suspensions, some players on 4 yellow cards as well. I also own Brian Mbeumo, so I will be having a look at some replacements for him in my team. And spoiler, I might have confirmed the transfer already due to price changes. So today, we're going to have a look at my Game Week 16 team selection, potential transfers, any -4s that I'm considering, captaincy, and finally, my lineup. Welcome back everyone, FPL Harry here. Before we dive in, we're going to try and hit 2,000 likes on this video as we are so close to 89,000 subscribers. So subscribe if you are new around here. But diving in, so I'm recording before the games on Thursday evening because of how quick the turnarounds of these game weeks are. I can't do a full review of last week of Game Week 15 of how it's gone so far before those matches take place. So I've got Livramento, Dubravka and Heung-min Son to play. So no Kieran Trippier and no Anthony Gordon, who are the big threats to my rank going into that evening. I'm on a very small green arrow of about 10,000 places from 290k up to about 280k. Goals from Mbeumo and from Cole Palmer are the sort of shining lights that have got me that green arrow. Defensively still poor, but I will update the graphic on screen with all the points so you can see how I've done, but I won't be able to comment on that. Just before we dive into the rest of the video and looking at Game Week 16, this video is very kindly being sponsored by NordVPN. NordVPN once again very kindly sponsoring the channel. It is the VPN service I use because it's the fastest VPN in the entire world. Whether you want to keep yourself safe online, protect yourself from those digital pickpockets who are starting to steal more and more information online, or if you travel and want to keep up to date with your latest shows, then you can do that as well. I use it myself when I go abroad and I need to keep up to date with all the football highlights, so I can be recommending the best transfers for you to make and that I should be making in my FPL team. It is so simple to use, but they do have 24/7 support if you do ever run into any issues. If you do fancy checking it out, these sponsorships do massively help support the channel and helped me achieve the dream of being full-time FPL. So if you are interested at all, use the link on screen. There is one in description as well, but let's have a look at some transfers for Game Week 16. So the key thing for me is Brian Mbeumo of Brentford. He went off injured on Wednesday evening, and because it is such a quick turnaround, I cannot see him being available in Game Week 16. So when I rolled my ankle when I was younger and, much faster recovery than maybe I do now, I was out for 3 weeks. So for him to return in 3 days, I would be very surprised. There were 2 real options for me that I could potentially go with. Big fan of Anthony Gordon. Of course, they have nice fixtures coming up. They don't blank. Anthony Gordon is on, he's had more than 5 yellow cards. So there's no suspension there. The other thing I did quite like the look of is Hwang Hee-chan. However, he is on 4 yellow cards. He also goes away to the Asia Cup in January. So there is a doubt about me having to sell him later down the line. So with that in mind, I have actually confirmed the transfer and I have moved to Anthony Gordon. I already own Cole Palmer in my team, so that was never a transfer that I could make. If I didn't own Cole Palmer, I'd probably go to him over Anthony Gordon based on the fixture this week and the long-term fixtures that Palmer has, plus what it allows you to do for the rest of your team with Cole Palmer being a cheaper option than Anthony Gordon. There are a few other options that I spoke about in my transfer targets video that I do also like. You could look at Raheem Sterling, but I don't think he's a better option than Cole Palmer. You could look at Jared Bowen or Kudus. The only thing is Kudus does go away to the African Cup of Nations in January as well. So for me, with all those things considered, knowing that I do want to go and buy Anthony Gordon into my team at some point, it just made sense to go and buy him now. Now, with that transfer being made, I now have no free transfers, but I do have 2.6 million in the bank now, and I do have a defensive issue in my team. At the moment, I'm starting Gabriel away at Aston Villa, I'm starting Livramento away at Spurs, and I'm starting Tsimikas away at Crystal Palace this week, which is far from ideal. The 2 on my bench are Charlie Taylor and then Matty Cash. Matty Cash was benched against Manchester City, probably for defensive solidity, but it doesn't bode that well from going forward, and he's just going to continue to drop in price. So I could sell him this week. I could go up and buy Pedro Porro, who does have Newcastle at home this week, but probably plays for a half-decent defence and is pretty attacking as well. Not the best fixture this week, and is it going to be worth a -4? The other one I could do is go and buy a Chelsea defender. I spoke about these in my transfer targets video from yesterday, so go and check that out if you want to hear a little bit more detail about the Chelsea defence, about Reece James, about Thiago Silva. But Colwill is probably the one I would go with because he is the cheapest and it is most risk-free. He's playing a lot of minutes either at left-back or centre-back. But again, it would be for a -4. And given the way Chelsea are defending, taking a -4 for a defender going away to Everton, who are not bad at the moment, I just don't think it's the right thing to do. So with those in mind, let's have a look at my lineup for the game week 16. Areola is going to start in goal. I do have Livramento in my defence, so I don't really want to double up with Dubravka, so I am diversifying a little bit there. Livramento starting in defence with Tsimikas and Gabriel all away from home, including my goalkeeper. I hate my defence at the moment, but I don't see defenders I really want to bring in, especially for a hit this week. Given the fixture that Porro has against Newcastle, given the fixture that Chelsea have away at Everton, and me not necessarily being certain that Colwill is going to start, I'd rather give myself one more week of information on both of those. Then into midfield, Cole Palmer, Son, Salah, Saka stay in there, and my one transfer, as I've said, Anthony Gordon in for Brian Mbeumo of Brentford. It looks like he's not going to be available. I want Gordon. Gordon was going up in price last night, so I've made that transfer. Erling Haaland up front alongside Ollie Watkins. The bench, there's nothing really to talk about. Archer first sub. Actually, Sheffield United looked better under the new manager, so I was a little bit concerned about him, but I don't think it's completely the end of the world that I've got him in there. In terms of captaincy and vice-captaincy, I'm pretty certain that Erling Haaland is going to get my captaincy armband and Heung-min Son is going to get my vice-captaincy. So just having a look at what that means for my team over the next couple of weeks and a bit more detail of my long-term transfer plans. As I said, Mbeumo is out and Anthony Gordon has come into my team. I bought him up at 6 million, again, was predicted to rise in price last night. That's probably my one transfer. My defense isn't great this week. Again, I'll probably start Areola. Areola versus Dubravka is pretty close. I might make a late call on that, but I'm not sure I want double Newcastle defense when I've got Son in my team. Again, defensively, it's not great, but I don't think it's worth a -4 this week. Going into game week 17, I'll get one free transfer again. Now, my eye is still on Kieran Trippier. Now, he's on 4 yellow cards at time recording before the matches taking place on Thursday evening. I don't plan on buying him for the Spurs game anyway, so if he's suspended for that, that's absolutely fine. I wouldn't buy him in game week 16 anyway. It would be for a hit, and I'm not going to do that. But I have got my eye on him, but that is always something to consider with him. Now, it leaves me 2.6 in the bank. Of course, I could do cash to Trippier in theory in terms of money, but I would then have 4 Newcastle players, so I can't do that. So the only way for me to go and get him is to upgrade Livramento to Kieran Trippier. Now, I can do that, but I'm 0.1 million short. So I would have to free up a little bit of money if I wanted to go and do that this week. The obvious place is in game week 17 to go and make the Chelsea defender transfer. Now, I'm not certain whether I would sell Tsimikas, whose fixtures after the Crystal Palace game in game week 16 don't look great. Manchester United, Arsenal, Newcastle with Burnley away, Bournemouth away in there. Plus, we've seen him not be nailed when they play 3 times a week. I don't love cash and he's dropping in price, but in the blank game week in game week 18, about the only week I might need him, he does have Sheffield United at home, and it might be a game that Unai Emery favours the attacking threat of cash rather than the defensive solidity of someone like Konza at right back. So, to be honest, in game week 17, given the way my defence is lining up, actually selling Tsimikas and going and buying Levi Colwill is the transfer that I plan on doing. It gets me a Chelsea defender if I think Colwill's going to start home to Sheffield United. My defence looks pretty solid. I'd probably double up on the Newcastle defence at home to Fulham in that one with Dubravka and Livramento. This would give me the money, the final bit of money I would need in game week 18, in the blank game week, to use my one free transfer to upgrade Livramento all the way up to Kieran Trippier. And I would finally, for the first time this season in game week 18, buy Kieran Trippier for free. It wouldn't be for a hit, it would be for free. Now, all of this, of course, depends on when Trippier picks up his 5th yellow card, if he gets one. If he was to get one to going into game week 18, I would just roll my transfer and then I would go and bring him in game week 19 probably, and that'd be fine, because when Trippier doesn't play, it means Livramento is almost nailed to play, and then I could play cash over Haaland, of course, who has the blank in game week 18. That is always the benefit of selling Brian Mbeumo at Brentford, because he blanks in game week 18, and selling him to Gordon would just strengthen my squad for that week anyway. So those are my transfer plans going into this week. I've already done the Brian Mbeumo to Gordon transfer, and I plan in game week 17 of probably adding Levi Colwill if I think that he's nailed to start, and he starts again against Everton for Chelsea at the weekend. Despite us looking a little bit poor defensively, I just can't turn down the option of those Chelsea fixtures going forward when I am looking for a defender. It does mean no Pedro Porro, but I do think it makes my squad strong over the next few weeks. So those are my transfer plans for the next few weeks, my team selection for this week. Thank you all so much for watching. 2,000 likes on the video. Deadline is tomorrow. There'll be a 2-hour deadline stream in the morning. So come and tune into that if you do want to get any final questions answered live there. Subscribe if you are new around here as well. And I'll be back again very soon.